Hi everyone, welcome back. Got a little something different going on today. Not only am I going to be working on the car, even more obviously, but I got cheap tools. If you are new to the channel or a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for watching and sharing the channel and doing everything you do. I greatly appreciate it. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. It is free and it helps me a ton because we got to get at least over the 1,000 subscriber mark before Google starts sending ad revenue my way. And maybe, just maybe someday, I'll buy one of these tires, not welders or anything like that. I mean, a little bit helps, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to spread the word of short track racing, DIY, and do it yourself, and all sorts of stuff. And it is the off season, and we're working on the late model. As usual, in the last few videos you've seen me work on it, but today I've got something a little bit different going on. Today, well, I received a shipment in the mail, or wherever it came from. I don't know, some guy in a minivan showed up at my house and dropped a package off. But I had ordered tools and shoes, which I'll get to in a minute, trust me, off of Temu. Yes, I know, Temu. And I know that there's a lot of mixed reactions when it comes to it. My wife likes them for little things like disposable clothes or just little stuff that, I don't know, it doesn't seem to really matter about the quality too terribly much, but I've never tried them, so I gave it a shot. I spent like 37 bucks and I got like 6 or 7 different things, 5 of which are, I think it's 5. I don't know, I can't count. But anyway, I got a bunch of tools and stuff. Let me show you what I got, and I'll share, well, I'll share testing them. Why don't I test them? That'll be fun. So let's do that. First things first, I bought shoes. Yeah, that doesn't sound great, but I bought them because they are work shoes. These are like a steel-toed kind of, I mean, it says sport, and they say fashion, so that has to be kind of interesting. I also bought all of this. I thought these were bigger, I'll be honest, and they're not. Apparently they're Dremel sized, but that's okay, I guess. We'll figure it out. I do have a Dremel, so I bought tungsten carbide supposed rasps, or whatever you call these things. Anyway, I bought one of these because, you know, I'd never had one. Just a spring punch for, like, if you need to drill something, you just throw that down there and push real hard, and you can get a little dot for you to start your drill bit. So figured that was a little useful. Then I bought these, which this is kind of fun. These are them diamond, you know, wheel, indestructible whatever for your grinder or your angle grinder or whatever. Supposedly they're indestructible because they're diamond wheels. But if they're so indestructible, why did I get 5 of them? Anyway, then I got these, which is one of those knockoff, like, heat shrink with the solder in it type of things. It's not the branded one, it's just the cheap knockoff. But we're gonna try a bunch of that stuff, and then at the end of it, I'll show you how the shoes work out. And yep, definitely ain't hurting them feet, but man, those things stink because they smell like really bad rubber. So before I get to work on the car, I'm going to try out a bunch of this stuff and see if it actually works or does anything. And the most fun is going to be the death-defying stuff, like the diamond grinding wheels, and see how many of them explode in my face and cause definite bodily injury because they're a cheap Temu item, but we'll see. I'll try it on a bunch of different materials like steel and aluminum and wood, and use it as a grinder and try to cut things with it, and we'll see how that turns out. And if it turns out bad, I think I spent like 4 bucks or less on it, so who gives a damn? So I'm curious about that. I think the spring punch is pretty straightforward. These really disappointed me because I thought they were at least air grinder size, but they are definitely not. Oh well, that's on me. So before I get to work on the race car, we're going to try that out. hopefully we get some decent results, and if we don't, at least I'm not out as much money as, well, the cost of the shoes. At any rate, the easiest thing for me to test right now is the spring punch thing. So I found this kind of thick, heavy gauge washer. This thing came, oop, things are falling over like usual. I found this when it came to me, it was like this. It was all unscrewed because, you know, Chinese stuff. But I'm just going to do this real quick and see if I actually get a result out of it. Not as dramatic as I was really hoping, but I'll be honest with you, that worked. I could get a drill started on that. Let me do it again. I mean, you can definitely you can see the 2 dots where I did it. It does work. Maybe even out the design a little bit here. Yeah, I mean, it does work on mild steel. I'm sure I could get something going off of that. So I think I only paid like a handful of dollars for this thing. So if you want a really nice one, they exist. But I mean, that one passes. I also need to apologize to everybody in advance because I accidentally bought blue belts for a black and red car. I know they don't match and I apologize, but my fire suit is blue, so at least it'll kind of blend in with me. So give me a little bit of credit here. Up next, I figure we're going to try the indestructible 5-pack. Not sure why it's a 5-pack if they're indestructible. Knockoff diamond cutting wheel discs. They come with these, I don't know what these washers are for, if they space. Yeah, it looks like they space it a little bit if your arbor's not quite the right size. I'm not too sure, but let me hold one of these up against it and say, I think we're screwed either way because, yeah, that's the right size and this is much smaller than what I have. So I guarantee these don't fit and that I'm going to be throwing them away the second I even look at them. So let's see what they fit on before I even get my hopes up. Definitely does not work on your standard angle grinder because the arbor on here is too small to fit a standard angle grinder. So throw that away. I tried a air grinder, I tried a angle, you name it, nothing fit. I've got my long reach air grinder, cutter, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't fit this either. However, I just stuck this in the vise like that. Kind of lined it up because the hole is way too big. Kind of lined it up as centered as I possibly could, and then just stuck the top on and tightened it down as tight as I could possibly get it. That's all we got. So I'm now going to attempt to, oh God, this thing is way off center. I'm going to attempt to recenter this until it doesn't look all wonky, and then try to find some other way of hurting myself, I suppose. So now that I got everything hooked up and I got some eyeglasses on, and I'm going to use some actual personal protective equipment here, I need to find a piece that I'm not really too sad about, such as this one, to where I can use it as a cutter and a grinder. And let's see if this thing works. Okay, well, I got it nice and oiled up now. Okay, and here we go. Wow. Wow. I mean, it works. Oh yeah, don't grab hot things, stupid. Now for wood. I really hope you can't pick up my really loud compressor in the background. But I'll try this too. I mean, that works too, but... That's pretty rad. Okay. Yeet. Now I need a piece of aluminum. Now that my compressor's off, let me take a look at this thing and see. Well, I'll be honest with you. Indestructible is definitely not in the description, I don't think. Even though they say it is, I don't think it's true. That's probably why you get 5 of them. Let's try it on aluminum. I mean, I'm not going to lie, but this thing took 0 time to cut through that. And it took a really good bite out of steel. Hell, it even cut wood. It still stinks in here of wood. Is it worth the price? To be fair, don't use it on aluminum. It looks like it gums up pretty bad. But I would say if you can get it really, really cheap or free, sure, go for it. If you can get the name brand one that actually works really well, go for that. Otherwise, I'll give this one for now, a pass. Okay, I got rid of the microphone because I tried to get rid of the sound reduction quality of it, and apparently it still has it no matter what. And even if I shut it off, it doesn't seem to matter. It does it on its own. So I got my Dremel tool out. You can tell it's top quality because it says master on it. But I got these bits. We're going to test these now. I figured it doesn't really matter which one I grab. They're all probably going to be the same basic thing. I got the piece of aluminum rod in here still, and I figured I'll try it on that, and I'll try it on the random piece of steel that I just haphazardly chopped something off with this just a few minutes ago. So, okay, I don't know what setting this thing is on. Yeah, it seems to work. Give it a shot. Let's not aim it at my face. All right. I'm looking for any damage to the arbor or the rasp or whatever you call these things. Doesn't seem to be any, so that's good. It definitely ground a little bit away. That's good. Left shavings of slivers and dust everywhere, so that's pretty much standard. Again, I'm really kind of disappointed that I didn't think these were going to be as small as they are, which really sucks because I wanted bigger ones, but I didn't get them. So, all right, should I turn it up? I'll go to 4. How far does it go? Max. Maybe not max. You know, they're a lot more fine than a bigger bit, obviously. But it worked really well for very small, very fine metal removal as well. Let me take a look at the bit itself. I mean, I'm seeing very, very, very light wear. I'm not sure if that was because I hit it on something or not, or if it's actually machined that way, but it still feels pretty sharp. So, all right, I'll give these a pass, even though they're not as big as I wanted. and they fit your common, well, rotary tool. So there, pass for that as well. I'm just kind of doing this as kind of a fun thing, just because, I don't know, they wanted me to pick 6 things and give me 3 of them for free or whatever, and I'm like, whatever gets me my shoes, you know? Which, by the way, they're holding in there pretty well. I mean, I wouldn't say they're the most comfortable thing I've ever worn, but they're not as uncomfortable as my boots. So I suppose as of this point, that's a win. But we got, I think, one more thing to test, and that requires a heat gun and some wire. So I'm gonna get those together, and we're gonna test that one last thing before we get back to work on this. Now, obviously, everything on Temu is, you know, just a cheap knockoff of whatever. So I got this, I think it's like a solder stick knockoff. I don't even know which the heck size I'm going to use for this, but I got a piece of wire here. I don't know what gauge it is. I think it's like 12 or 14. What we'll do is we'll just take and we'll cut this in half. Luckily, these are good tools. This is like Klein lineman's like strippers or something like that. I bet you any money that this thing is probably a, let's see, 14. Yeah, it looks like 14. Oop. I am not an electrician. Neither do I claim to be. I can do it, just not good at it. My house hasn't burned down yet, so I guess I'm not that bad at it. Neither has my race car, except for that one time. Which, that's a fun story, which maybe I'll share someday. Anyway, I think the thing is you take them and you stick it in until they like meet the solder part of it. Or solder. I can't even pronounce it. The solder part of it. I don't even know how I'm going to do this, but let's see if this works. Anybody got time lapse? I'm going to let this cool, and then I'm going to try testing for continuity to see if that actually made any sort of a connection whatsoever. So I got my old continuity tester, which is my Radio Shack multimeter with the cover missing. That's your sign for it to be working. This is really not easy with very small wire. Hey! So that worked. I don't know if I would call that soldered together, per se. But I wish I'd had it zoomed out a little bit better for you guys. I apologize, but would I... you know what? It does look a little bit melted in there. And these little plastic things, if you heat the crap out of them enough, it'll definitely grab onto it, and it does have continuity. Would I trust it in a race car, though? I'm not that sure about that. Would I trust it for, like, installing speakers in my 88 Buick Century? Probably. So we'll give this one a, for now, at least a pass. Again, I'd probably just use real solder or actual crimp connectors, but I mean, it seems all right. It looks pretty decent. Just heat the hell out of it and you'll probably get a good result. This also comes with heat shrink that's also cut into predetermined lengths, and there's a lot of them, so I figure I'll chuck one on there and see what happens. I better cover this before it goes for a ride and I'm playing 5,000 piece pickup with all this stuff falling out of here. Let's just move this somewhere off the edge. There, okay. You know what? I'm not a guy who typically uses this, but to protect wire, man, I gotta be honest, that worked pretty good. It's not really brittle. I can flex it. Over time, who knows, but doesn't sound too bad. All right, you know what? I'll give these really cheap Temu solder sticks that are a complete knockoff, I'll give them a pass. That's not bad. Next. Also, I apologize for this humming noise in the background. I don't turn my dehumidifier off, and you can always hear it. That's better. So now we've tested every single tool or whatever that I got from Temu, and surprisingly, all of them kind of got a passing grade. I didn't expect that, but in a pinch, and if you're cheap, like I am, they do work, albeit, as is with anything cheap and let's just say imported, there's definite hurdles that you're going to have to cross if you want to use them as anything close to even seriously. So the only thing that really exceeded my expectations was the solder stick stuff. The more I look at it, I'm like, well, I mean, it is weather tight for sure. The heat shrink actually worked pretty good. Can't complain. These things, honestly, are probably the biggest disappointment of the bunch, because the shoes they feel exactly like my boots that are literal Red Wing boots, like a name brand work boot. And those are actually less comfortable than these shoes are. Not to hate on Red Wing, I didn't pay for them. I got them as a hand-me-down type of thing, so they probably weren't really my size to begin with, but, you know, my apologies if I upset anybody there, but the shoes work for now. We'll see what happens when they actually wear in a little bit more. These worked rather well. Like, if you have a small project where you have to kind of shape something metal with a Dremel or rotary tool, they worked pretty well. Solder sticks, like I said, are pretty good. I'm missing something. Oh, the punch, yes. The punch definitely worked. It was not exactly the most powerful thing in the world. Like, you can definitely get something better at Home Depot for a little bit more money. Trust me. But there is a saying that I live by in life, and that is, you get what you paid for. And nothing is even close to as real of a statement when it comes to buying tools is you get what you pay for. And if you're a guy like me who can only afford stuff like a Harbor Freight tool, and then you use something like, well, let's just go through it. Let's talk about value for tools and stuff. For a long time, I've used, let's just say, a cheap Bauer impact gun. This has died on me at one point. I have had to go in and fix it. I also owned the same exact tool as a Milwaukee and a DeWalt. Both of those have lasted a very long time without me touching a thing. So like I said, you get what you pay for. But we'll live with it. You know, it was worth a shot, and it was worth, you know, the $37 for me to get all these things and try them out. And I thought it would be kind of entertaining, but enough of that. We still have things to do on this car.